go.
Hey everyone, welcome to Go Live. Sorry to keep you waiting, but good things come to those who wait. Thank you so much for joining us. We have an incredible show as always for you today. Thank you so much. And if you're joining us after the fact on Spotify, Apple Play, Google, and all those things, welcome. This is going to be an interesting show because almost all the news seems seemingly negative, but we'll put a positive spin on it. We've got beautiful people here. We've got you, our beautiful viewers, and we'll make light of all the serious things that's happening around the world. No, that sounds wrong. We will make it joyous somehow. Thank you so much for joining. Asa, how are you?
I'm amazing, except I've ruined Poochie's intro music. Sorry, Poochie. Yeah, and it's been a good week. We had a great show last week. We've got a great show today. We'll have a great show next week. I like to think of it as a virtuous cycle that we're going to continue, even if we do start a little late. I've had a week plodding at my own pace through Elden Ring, just casually brushing all the enemies aside because I'm really good at it, but playing at my own pace. And I jumped into Skyrim VR in RPGs.
Is this still April Fool's Day?
Yeah, April Fool's was yesterday.
Right, kick Tony back out. He's had his moment. Go. I've been playing Skyrim VR as well, which I never play an archery class in a game like that, but Skyrim VR with a few mods and some archery is peak gaming. So having a good time. Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I've seen your Skyrim VR antics. So it looks like a lot of fun and a lot of work, which is not what I want to do when I play games, but each their own. Yeah, okay. Gents, look at this dastardly duo. Two people who actually introduced one another to us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is in no particular order, and they don't know who I'm going to introduce. It's going to be, and I'm just looking left and right. Josh, because you were grimacing. I had to put you out there. Josh from Quest Mode Games. Thank you so much. It's been a while. How are you?
Thanks for having me back. Now that I don't do like my podcast anymore, I haven't talked about games like this probably since I was last on the show. So it's great to be back and chat some PlayStation, chat some Xbox, and I can relate, Asa. I'm working through Elden Ring at my own pace as well, and not because I'm particularly good at it, just because I take my time and I've like leveled up way too high. I'm like kind of plowing through it as well, but awesome game, man.
But everyone's loving it. Everyone's enjoying Elden Ring. Everyone's leveling, and there's me, God knows how many weeks, still have no idea what I'm doing in that game, but still loving it.
Oh, me too.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea. Zorka makes fun of me all the time for doing it, but I'm having a good time.
I hear everyone online talking about this mimic tier. I still don't know what the hell that is, so maybe I'll find it one of these days.
No, see, I'll go into why. You know what? I need to find out if this last gentleman has even played it. I don't even know if he has. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our favorite otaku samurai Kibiji in the house. Oh.
I love that you said that because I noticed like I'm typing in the chat as West Side Otaku, which is my anime channel, and that was an accidental plug-in, I swear. But, yeah, hello everybody. It's so great to be back. I apologize. I'm the reason we started late. Like the second I joined these guys, my Wi-Fi box, it grew legs, ran outside, cursed off my neighbors, and the neighbors kicked it into the other yard. So I had to go grab it and fix it. So apologies. I'm the reason we're late, but we're here. It's good to see y'all. Absolutely. It's good to have you on. It's been a while. Tony, have you played Elden Ring? Yeah. I am the slowest person at this game, apparently, because you all are saying, let's fight about it. Because like I put 50 hours into that game. I freaking adore it. I agree. Like 10 out of 10. I put 50 hours into it. And I was like level 30 something and hadn't gone past the starting regions. I heard other people at 50 hours, they like went all over the map. They have all these cool weapons. And I'm just like, how? But it's because I never bother to go to new areas. I always want to see everything before I go to the next area. That's why. But I love the game. I took a break because Tunic came out. Tunic came out. Wow, you stopped playing Elden Ring for Tunic. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for Samurai Kibiji's antics.
on behalf of the gaming space.
It was so hard. I had to take a break for Tunic and Kirby, but
yeah, I played a little bit of Tunic, and that game is deceptively difficult for all its nice colors and beautiful music. La la la, bam! 3 shots. So why is everything like Elden Ring now? Am I just old, or is the game hard? Is the game hard? Is it supposed to be hard?
Tunic is. I see like Don in the chat. Tunic is fire. It is. It's disguised as Fox has entered a Zelda game, but that is really just a service. I almost my head exploded trying to figure out certain puzzles yesterday. But
oh really? Yeah. Oh, it's one of those.
It's a great indie game. Highly encourage people to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Poochie says, Samurai KBG's bulking. Yes, he has. I can see those veins looking vascular up in here. Glad one of us goes to the gym. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great set of this panel here for a reason. And I had to have both gents in, although I'm not sure about. I brought Josh in for the main event. So the main event is the PlayStation Plus Project Spartacus thing, which we'll bring that right at the end. We'll talk about that right at the end because I'm a diabolical fiend. And also because we have a game to give away to whoever Acer decides has left the best comment on our website, GameOnDaily. There weren't that many. So the chances of one of you winning that comment, that game is really high. So, and Acer decides. I have no idea who's going to pick. We're going to go through that, read all the comments and some of the best comments and see who's won that. But that's right at the end. And that's why I got Josh in, because he's our PlayStation Meister, one of the best content creators in the space, and level-headed as well, and unlike me. And we'll talk about that. But this first topic, I had to bring Samurai Kibiji into this one. This one, I don't know if it surprises anyone, but it's a bit of a sad one, but possibly a good thing. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed till 2023. We just started the show talking about Elden Ring, so obviously that's still the shoe-in for the game of the year of 2023, right? 2022, sorry.
Currently, of the things that have come out. Currently.
Yeah. And I'm going to talk to you about that. But what's your take on this Breath of the Wild 2 being delayed, man? Does that hurt? Is it good?
Me?
Samurai. Chief, sorry. I'm a terrible host.
Yeah, no, you're good. So I'm glad we're talking about this because I don't want it to segue into kind of another topic, but I have publicly explained Breath of the Wild is hands down my favorite open world of all time, and now one of my favorite games of all time too. Elden Ring has given it a run for its money, but
oh no,
there he goes.
Listen, I am so happy this game got delayed. I am so happy. There's people that are back and forth, but it's not because a delayed game can be a great game or whatever. That's fine or whatever. I back in the day, delays really annoyed me because I'm like, don't announce a window if you aren't sure about it.
Yeah.
But in 2022, man, there is so much stuff to play. I am so happy Stalker 2 did not come out this month because I can play Tunic, Kirby, and hopefully get back to Elden Ring. Still haven't gotten to Forbidden West, and there's just so much stuff to play. So honestly, I'm fine with delays at this point, and this is going to be a massive game. If it's anything like the first game, it's going to be huge, and it's going to take a lot of your time if you want to really dive into it. So I don't mind. Just hopefully it releases around nothing else.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
That's it. So do you think this got delayed? And people will mock me for this, but I do think this has a part to play. Elden Ring is the reason why Nintendo may have kept a keen eye on it. And then maybe, I have no insight into their development. No one does apart from them. But them not... Elden Ring versus Breath of the Wild 2 would have been a bitter game of the year contending Face Off. And I think I have a feeling Nintendo looked at Elden Ring and they've delayed it till next year, and they're thinking maybe we can do some things extra here, because there's a lot of pride with Breath of the Wild, as there should be. And Nintendo, irrespective of their family-friendly, happy-go-lucky kind of image, they can be quite fierce. You have to be to churn out that kind of quality. Do you think there's any merit in me saying that?
I don't. I can see it. Like, I see a lot of people saying that like argument, and I get it. You know, like, could it be? Probably, but Nintendo. The thing I really respect about Nintendo, I think this is so funny. I'm just pointing this out. Like, Josh has a green light in the background. I have a blue light, where he's more of a PlayStation guy, more of an Xbox guy. But like, the thing that I like about Nintendo more than Xbox, my primary platform, is they just let their devs keep going. Like, their games never release in any sense of an unfinished state. And they rarely ever even announce the games to be done or the release window or whatever before they are usually pretty gosh darn sure.
Yeah.
Like, they announced Super Mario Odyssey, which was a nominee for Game of the Year, and they announced the game fully like 4 months before release. Kirby, they announced it like 6 months before release, and they only announced them. It wasn't even a release window. It was an announcement for the game itself. And it's like, by the way, it's coming out in 6 months. You're welcome. But they do that because they don't want their devs pressured to finish it or whatever. So I think, and I'm hoping I'm right here, I'm hoping it's because they're hiding a lot about the game that is really going to make it a sequel. I'm really hoping that's the reason why, is because there's a lot that we haven't seen about it. They don't want to tell us the name of the game because maybe that'll ruin whatever they're hiding. And they got ambitions for it to really make it a sequel instead of just a giant expansion of the first game. So I'm hoping that's why. But it could be because of Elden Ring. I just don't think so.
I think you're right. I think you've convinced me that that's correct, because you see how many people, how many studios have copied Breath of the Wild. You had, what's that Ubisoft game?
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
That's it. Immortals Phoenix Rising. And they've got loads of mechanics they've borrowed. And they're talking about the game being set in, not space, I was going to say space, but like up in the sky. And they've levels there, verticality. Nintendo can do something in crazy there. Josh, are you a Breath of the Wild Zelda fan? And were you disappointed by this?
Yeah, I am a fan. It's not like my favorite open world game I've ever played, but I really loved it. I blasted through that game in like 5 days, and I think I put like 60 hours into it in 5 days. So it did hook me, but I've never really looked back until recently. You know, I'm kind of after seeing how Elden Ring is playing out, how open it is. I don't remember Breath of the Wild being that open, but everybody says it is. So I kind of want to go back and check it out. But
it is.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel, seeing what they do. I like the idea that there's this whole other like if it's set in the same Hyrule, more or less, you know, the fact that they're adding this like other level above in the sky is a great way to add new areas without maybe completely redoing what's on the ground. Those, I don't know the time frame that this game takes place in. If it's like 100 years in the past or the future, then it might be a different landscape. I don't know.
Where is it?
You don't want to question the Zelda timeline. It's weird.
Yeah. So they might
It's
make
weird.
Who knows? I mean, they've been working on this game for like 5.5, 6 years. So maybe it is a totally new Hyrule. That would be awesome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely gonna like every gamer on the planet with a Switch, I'm gonna check it out. But I am more of the mind that maybe Nintendo kind of backed themselves into a corner when they announced Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Pokemon coming out in Q4 of this year. Like, are they going to put Breath of the Wild 2 in? I mean, that game is gonna just totally dominate whatever other games are out there, Nintendo or otherwise. Like, you can pretty much count on Breath of the Wild 2 being the game people are playing whenever it comes out. So maybe they just didn't want to cannibalize their own release schedule there.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. I didn't think of that. And it makes sense. It makes complete sense. And I'm kind of glad they did that as well, for the reasons that Tony mentioned, that you don't want This year's insane. This year's insane, and we're going to end up saying this every year now because it's just the world is crazy. How do we have time? If you're a content creator, how do you have time to even play the games you're going to talk about? It's a massive challenge for all of us. But yeah, definitely. No, that's a great point. Asa, you're not a Nintendo fan, as you quite famously and proudly exclaim, but surely even in your dark, hard shell of a heart, there's a space for Breath of the Wild. Surely you enjoyed that game.
Do you know, I can't wait to find out. I'm just waiting for it to go on sale, and I'm going to play it.
What? You haven't played
Nintendo
it?
will never let that game go on sale. But wait, how cheap? How cheap?
Oh, anything. I just want a discount from Nintendo. And I honestly did look at it. I looked at it relatively recently. Do you know what? So Breath of the Wild quite famously came out about the same time as Horizon Zero Dawn, right? And I did a direct comparison. Horizon Zero Dawn was on the PlayStation Store for $7.99 with all of the content. And then I was like, oh, I wonder what Breath of the Wild's doing right now. It was £60 for the base game or £80 with the expansion. And I was just like, Nintendo... So no, I've not played Breath of the Wild yet on principle, and they put it on sale. I'm there.
You know what Nintendo should have done? They should have said, we're delaying Breath of the Wild 2 until the release of Horizon 3, because then it would have been like... the Horizon series has a famous history now of going up against like just brilliant open world games. So.
Dude, it's so bad, because seriously, they're just like, oh great, we're 8 months or 10 months away from it. Elden Ring's coming out close, but that's super shit.
Yeah, it's supposed to be niche, but it's not anymore. So it deserves it. That's right. No, I'm just a big petty. I'm sorry. But Daddy Passion Official, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Goes, hello to the panel. He got his PS5 finally today to finish his combo of the Series X PS5, and his daughter has the Series S. Well done, Danny. You won't miss out on those one and done games. No, what? No, I'm being so toxic. No, apologies. They're working on live service games.
What about the Switch? you need the Switch, and then you have the full family.
Oh yeah, Danny, do you have the Switch? I think you do. You must do. You seem like a refined gentleman. You would. You definitely would. In this week, other than Breath of the Wild, I think generally it's going to be the game looks like it's going to be amazing. I think there's a lot of pride there. I think they're going to put some stuff in there that will shock people. I think the biggest misstep, but the shortcoming of Breath of the Wild, and if they had fixed this, in my opinion, it would have even exceeded Ocarina of Time for me, would have been the dungeons. If they had those dungeons being unique and long, and like the traditional dungeons, and not what they were, the very copy and paste and within those bosses, that was the weak point for me. And if they didn't have that, and they had proper dungeons that are still remembered to this day, including the music from Ocarina of Time, that would have elevated it to my top 5 of all time, or maybe even number 1, because Ocarina of Time is probably up there, joint number 1. The game was a work of art. So hopefully because other people have said that. Other people have said the same thing about Breath of the Wild. I think they're going to go hard on this, and I think it's going to be incredible. But let's see.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Just Josh's statement, I think, is really like Nintendo was about to have, and still kind of is going to have the best year that they have had since 2017. 2017, they blew, because 2017, that was their launch year for the console. They were like, all right, here's Splatoon 2, here's a new property with ARMS, here's Breath of the Wild, here's Super Mario Odyssey. It just kept going and going. We're going to announce a new Kirby game, a new Metroid game, 2 new Metroid games. That they blew up that year. And then this year, they did the same thing. Here's 2 Pokemon games. Here's Breath of the Wild sequel. Here's Splatoon 3. And here's like, they don't need it. And maybe that's what it was. Just as Josh said, we already got 2 things, maybe 3 over the holiday-ish season. So I'm just there for next year.
Yeah. Isla, thank you so much for tagging me in that comment, because I did miss it. And how could I miss it? Yadani, shout out to you. I'm terrible. Yadani says, Ramadan Mubarak, aka happy birthday, guys. Happy Ramadan to all those people who are fasting. Well, the fast would have been broken, depending on where you are. So happy Ramadan Let the Hunger Games begin. I know how you feel. Danny Passion Official, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Gas, hashtag toxicity. They go hand in hand. Yes, my daughter has the Switch too. There you go. I knew it. He was a refined gentleman. So, next topic. And bear in mind, these are negative. Every single one is negative, but we're going to talk about it. We have to talk about it. Activision, the politicians are canceling the deal. Apparently, I liked Bernie Sanders until yesterday. What's wrong with Bernie Sanders? Well, if you haven't followed it, Activision's deal is under scrutiny from politicians who have raised concerns about the deal. And I saw some funny things on social media, a lot of outrage, a lot of hatred for this deal. And I genuinely need to get I'm going to sit back on this one a little bit. And I'm going to lead to my friend Asa, who will lead this topic to our gents. What do you think about Activision the deal being under scrutiny? We've had Hogue Law. He's talked about how contentious and how political the whole process is. Are you now concerned?
I am an absurd choice to lead this one because this one, these comments are very much like deep rooted in American politics. Right, and I don't follow that closely. So Elizabeth Warren, never heard of her. Don't know who she represents. I don't know what her values are. She says, Activision Blizzard have a history of sexual harassment and serious allegations, and we're concerned that it will get worse with Microsoft. Which, like, she's onto something. No. That bit doesn't make any sense. Like, by all means, draw attention and scrutiny to it, but I don't know what their motive is. Who follows American politics and knows who these people are out of you two?
I'm sad to say that I follow American politics and I know who she is.
I'm sad
Josh,
to
you're
say.
the prime candidate for this. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Elizabeth Warren, for those who don't know, is a senator here in the United States, and she leans very far to the left, which to me indicates that if she knew what she was talking about, she would be far more in favor of this based off of her comments. Like if she's worried that, I think Asa, you were kind of alluding to this, that the Microsoft acquisition, from the sound of it, will make Activision a better place to work. It sounds like, I don't think they've said as much directly, but it sounds like if this goes through, Bobby Kotick is out the door pretty soon thereafter. So, that's a good thing. And Microsoft has a good reputation by comparison to Activision, certainly as a good place to work. So I think that if these American politicians, again, knew the finer details of the situation, I don't think they'd be saying what they're saying, which is really disappointing. If they're concerned that maybe there's going to be some sort of monopoly as a result of this, that's a whole different story. I don't think that's the case, but if that's what their concern is, like, do the investigation and say what you got to say, and let's see where we net out. But I think that Activision employees, I don't know anybody who works at Activision, but from the sound of it, they're pleased about what's potentially down the road if this deal goes through.
For me and other folks that aren't as educated or whatever, because I admit I don't have too much to add on this, what exactly... Like if there was a title for this on the news, like what would be on the title of the article?
Well, let me read out.
I'm looking this up and I'm just seeing like the 18 million settlements for a harassment suit, but that's all I'm seeing. And something about like mask mandate being over at the Blizzard. I'm not saying anything about this though. So what am I, for me and others, what are we supposed to know here?
The big takeaway from that, and this is the quote from them, is that this buyout would, and I quote, exacerbate the flurry of sexual abuse, harassment, and retaliation allegations at Activision stemming from recent federal and state investigations. How? I don't understand how that could do that. If anything, this is a light at the end of that very horrible tunnel at Activision. So this is where people got really just thought, this is a terrible take. You've just looked at the numbers and you've just balked at that, gone with the popular sentiment of, oh, this is going to make it worse, not really realizing that Microsoft was voted, I think this week, top 10 best workplaces to work for. That's a stark contrast from what Activision are like, who are facing lawsuits, terrible lawsuits for horrible things. And right from the get-go, the press releases for Microsoft was they're going to sort this out. And it's quite obvious that Bobby Kotick will probably have to leave, even though he gets a payout at the end of it. No doubt, the bad guys always get rewarded, it seems. But I don't know. I don't see how that's a good take. But you have to understand, this is a largely political process. In the grand scheme of things, these are just a few politicians. And if they have concerns, they're not outright blocking it like some people think. Microsoft will make those representations, sit them down and educate them. And if these politicians have any sincerity, I just about to say have any sincerity and politicians in the same sentence, we're screwed. The deal is cancelled. No, but if they do and they do see the details and actually educate themselves, they will realize this is most likely the best thing that could happen. Really, other than that, you want the status quo? I don't know. Asa, am I just being an Xbot? Am I just trying to defend Microsoft because I love Xbox so much I pump green in my veins?
No, like I said, from the off, what they're saying doesn't make a whole heap of sense. It is interesting. I wonder if it's the first time they've poked the gaming fandom hornet's nest, and if they're regretting it now, because they probably had to log off and mute Twitter for a little while. So I don't know, maybe the whole of gaming will get banned in America because they've realized just how toxic it can be. But
American politicians have a long history of criticizing video games when they have no idea what they're talking about. It's gone on for decades. So this is
This is not new at all. It's not new at all. And it's just people who don't understand the medium putting their oars in. And it kind of looks, I saw them getting attacked on Twitter. I also saw a lot of PlayStation fanboys saying, go, yes, that's how it is. Please cancel this deal. We're so bloody shot dead, concerned. And I'm just, thank you for the material for my source video.
That was right before declaring their love for Skittles, right?
Yeah. Oh man, I saw that as well on Twitter as well. Skittles trying to double down with Nintendo and PlayStation to beat Xbox because they lost that poll, which gave us the mini fridge.
This year they won that poll. Last year they lost and it gave us the mini fridge. This year was their rematch. So for anyone not knowing, there's a best brand. I find this kind of stuff really slimy, but best super personal corporate brand on Twitter competition poll. Which Microsoft won, and Microsoft went up against Skittles again this time. And Skittles won this year, despite having a fraction of the following. But it is what it is. They're all nice corporate brand accounts to smile and get along with.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit. I'm not. Yeah. Oh shit! I didn't even push the tweet out. I'm so bad. I'm not I'm not a thing for that. We got the only thing we got a good thing though. We got a PlayStation mini Xbox mini fridge because Xbox barely just edged it out on that poll last year. This year, I don't think Xbox can incentivize it. They've already won once. I'm sure they've got more pressing things to worry about, like getting their deals done. Donataku, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Because Bayonetta, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Pokemon Scarlet/Violet are enough to make up for no Breath of the Wild 2.
Totally forgot about Bayonetta 3.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
Is that coming out this year as well?
And it's supposed to. That's what I mean. 2022 for Nintendo is crazy.
That's mad. That's insane. Yodani, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Because when blowing out your candles for your birthday, Gas, can you please wish for E3 to come back? I'm sure in this community you want to grab a brew. That's probably a good way to bring in the next topic. But before we do, let me read these super chats. Hoggy Channy, he says, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Shout out to Hoggy, member of the team. He says, title that you were asking for, Tony. This is the title. Self-absorbed politician proclaims their need to virtue signal into a corporate merger with irrelevant sideshow issues. Game on source.
I'm not a fan of the term virtue signaling, but that's exactly what this is. 100%.
Yeah, it's true. Virtue signaling gets used a lot in the whole left-right thing, but it's a thing. I know where you're coming from with your disdain for that term, but yeah. I like the way it was used there. Shout out to Hoggy. Daddy Passion Official, thank you so much for the $2. He goes, did the government get involved in the Disney and Fox deal? I don't know why they would, unless the numbers alone would be enough for them to get involved. But actually, that's a very good point, Danny, because in that, it wasn't just the sexual allegations that they talked about. They threw out this. Here it is. This is the quote. "We are deeply concerned about the consolidation in the tech industry and its impact on the workers." Oh, shut the f***. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. Come on, man. This is just silly. But yeah, shout out to Danny for reminding me about that. Actually, there's some argument there, but we've talked about this consolidation thing so much. And everyone makes it negative, but it's positive. Do you know why? Because finally my PlayStation Studio video is coming out next week because of consolidation and what studios it may or may not buy. Crobo, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. It goes, "Remember, far left US politics is similar to moderate Labour in the UK. Also, Senator Warren is talking out of her arse." Sounds like she is in this instance. I don't know anything about that politician there. Space Novican, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Goes, "Thing is, targeting big tech companies are a popular political hook right now, especially for the Democratic Party." Again, I will divulge that I have no idea about US politics because it's such a show, just like the UK one, let's be honest. So yeah, Flame, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Because I blame Halo's surprise multiplayer launch in November for Xbox losing to Skittles today. Also, rest in peace. E3 would have been a great birthday party. Gas, thank you so much, Flame. And you are absolutely right. What are you doing, Colt? What are you doing? You're not allowed to super chat. He goes, "Oh man, thank you for the super chat, bro." He goes, "Just gonna super chat on your show." Thank you. He goes, "Skittles is playing dirty. I suppose it's too much to ask for Nintendo America and PlayStation to unite and help me win this Twitter popularity contest against Xbox." Is that what they tweeted? Yes, it is. And it's just a bit of like corporate fun. They're trying to win, and this time I'll probably vote for Skittles because I like the sweet. Xbox is not offering me anything. Maybe they'll do a special Skittles version. Everyone vote with your wallets. Thank you so much for that, Colt. Yeah, so ultimately the Activision deal is under scrutiny. Things are going to fire up. When the FTC starts really going through the details, we're going to hear about it. And the moment, whether it passes or not, and I'm squarely... Actually, what do you think, Josh? Do you think the deal will go through?
100%. Well, for one, I think like when they start looking into this particular issue, they'll see the reality of things, that things are likely to get better, assuming they actually do their due diligence. And then I just don't see how this is a monopoly. Like it's, Sony, I think it came out when this merger was announced that even after Microsoft buys Activision, that PlayStation, Sony is still larger than Microsoft in terms of gaming revenue. So like on that fact alone, I don't see how you can say that this is a monopoly. Plus you have Nintendo out there, you have Tencent, you have other big players. So I'm not an expert. I don't have a business degree or anything like that, but based on the stuff I just said, I don't see how this doesn't go through.
I'm 100% there with you for exactly those reasons. Tony, what do you think of the chances of the deal, of the Xbox Activision deal going through?
Most likely. I'm not 100%, but I'm on the most likely scale. I don't. It's possible that it couldn't, but I don't see how not. Also, I see I'm choppy on the stream, so I'll see if I can fix that. But yeah,
we can still hear your beautiful voice.
Okay, good. But yeah, I don't have too much input on it. I'm just mostly observing to see if any problems, but I don't see why not. It'll take a long time. I did see the super chat of, did the government get involved with the Disney Fox merger? And they did a bit. It was nowhere near as complicated, but yeah, so.
Yeah, I think the recent manifesto is to really go after tech companies, so that will absolutely bring in heat. Because if they don't bring heat to a $70 billion deal, then everyone's going to criticize them politically. And someone said that it's right up there for political point scoring. So there's that. But like you mentioned, Josh, you've got Tencent going around, circling around. Microsoft owns, let's be honest, a lot of part of the tentacles are everywhere, including the US government. There's no way, in light of a foreign body like Tencent circling around gobbling talent, that it's ultimately going to go through. The only thing, Asa, if you disagree with me, let me know. But I think the only thing that will happen will 100% go through, but there may be some conditions that Xbox may not like on exclusivity, perhaps.
That's a good point.
So we had Hogue was saying that essentially, don't take anything as certain, because the FTC or whoever's like going through this can do whatever the hell they want for whatever reason they want, and they don't need to justify it to anyone. So they can invent a reason if they don't want this deal to happen. Doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, right? It's probably going to. The things that possibly work against Microsoft a little bit, and these are the only reasons that I can see them flagging up, are if they identify cloud gaming as an industry in itself, then there is a monopoly there. Essentially, like that will put them way over the top of anyone. And the other thing is they don't like it when tech industries use money from one slice to completely dominate another. And I saw the staff numbers the other day, which was a little bit like, oh, that is a bit of a jump for Xbox. So at the moment, Xbox have about 2,500 members of staff. ZeniMax have about 2,500 members of staff. Activision Blizzard have 10,000. So it's like Xbox are eating a much bigger organization using money that they did not make for themselves, and that's a flag that they'll have a look at. But I'd still say it's probably going through for the same reasons everybody else. Just don't like count your chickens or whatever else, because they can do what they want.
That's a good point. Definitely, no, absolutely. But geez, those numbers are insane. But actually, and I was doing this video about what studios PlayStation can buy. It seemed like to me this point on talent and manpower is really important. And your Microsoft's price may, as crazy as it looks, may end up being worth it, I guess, based on that. 10,000 for once. It's like a bloody small city. They've just insane money, insane deals, politics, all of this. There's going to be so much development on this, and it's going to be hilarious. One way or the other, it's going to be a lot of controversy going out there. So yeah, shout out to 227 people watching. Smash that like button if you're enjoying the chat. We have more negative things to talk about. No, it's not, but it's interesting things. So on this show, we have repeatedly talked about Microsoft and its management of studios, how it handles it. It's so good and easy for all of us to celebrate all these acquisitions, but ultimately, if they cannot handle or put someone in place to manage all these studios, it's not going to end up well. Yet again, another studio, Undead Labs, looks like it's in trouble. Last time we had members of people leaving for the initiative, and now we've got Undead Labs, and they are in hot water based on some of the things, some really serious allegations against Undead Labs. They've had misogyny, mismanagement, and all sorts. And again, and this word comes up, culture. The culture the studio had up until recently was not the most hospitable place for anyone that was not a white cishet man. Cishet. I don't know what that is. But yeah. Cassette. No one uses cassettes anymore. It's old school.
Carry on, guys. You carry on.
There was a guy. Okay, I'm reading out quotes here. Ace is talking about cassettes. He thinks I'm crazy. There was a guy on the State of Decay 3 team who was blatantly sexist, and Anne, I don't know who Anne is, didn't do anything. A former dev told Kotaku there was a manager of the tech art team who was awful. That Anne outside. It's a lot of hearsay. I'm not trying to downplay it, but there are quite a few examples of this. And then it says, and there's another quote from a staff member, says it's improved in the last 6 months or so, but the studio hired a lot of diverse talent that it did not adequately support in the past. So all this is pointing to, the fact that you're giving a lot. And there was a quote there, we were trying to find it before the show, about Xbox giving a lot of autonomy to these studios to run in or whatever way they want. But if you give them too much freedom and you don't keep an eye on things, things can spiral. And Sony are really good at doing this. And we have David Jaffe on the show, who is also, exclaimed about the positives of Sony sending out a little team there to keep an eye on development. There's a lot here to unpack. Josh, what do you think about this? I mean, this is the second time we've heard about another studio and mismanagement. Microsoft and all these acquisitions, do you really think, you're a PlayStation guy, do you like the fact that Sony has a little bit of a handle and control over its studios?
Yeah, well, first off, I think there's a difference in like being hands off with game development and being hands off with like, sexist culture or crunch or whatever those, more kind of personnel related things. So yeah, creative culture, totally different from this sort of stuff. And I've always thought that PlayStation, I haven't really read up on it, but I've always kind of thought that PlayStation does have a pretty hands-off approach. Like if, maybe less so lately, like, but in the past, it's like when Sony Santa Monica went off and did their remake of God of War, I kind of took that as Sony Santa Monica's initiative, not PlayStation's initiative. Or there may be exceptions. I'm sure, like with the Spider-Man deal, that was probably Sony saying, we got this massive IP and we want Insomniac to make it. But in terms of the quality, I've never felt that PlayStation studios were like dictated by PlayStation to do certain things. But on the surface, and I don't want to get off too many tangents here, looking at their library of games, a lot of them are kind of samey. Like as a PlayStation gamer, one of the things I don't like about a lot of these first party games is like Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Days Gone, and Horizon are all like, I'm going to say it, they're kind of like Ubisoft-esque open world games. And maybe there is this mandate at PlayStation to make games like that. I don't know. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. I think that for more or less, it's good when a parent company gives its studios creative autonomy. Like I've worked in a creative industry before, and it's great when you can do your own thing and like you can do what you're good at and make your thing great without someone else telling you what to do. So I hope that at Microsoft and Sony, that's how they're looking at the creative cultures of these studios. But again, when it comes to this stuff, like people getting harassed or people getting put in uncomfortable situations, I think that if there's the ability for a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Sony or Microsoft, excuse me, to get in there and squash that stuff, I think they should do that in a way that works.
Yeah,
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It's actually given me a lot of food for thought. That's quite interesting. You said something that slightly different to what I was anticipating. Tony, the takeaway, Microsoft has been accused of before in the past, last gen, of being too hands-on and not giving studios autonomy. Here it is, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now you're hearing murmurs of Microsoft not doing enough. And then I'll have a quote here. This is, there was no visible intervention or support from Microsoft, recalled one former developer. Nothing ever improved from my perspective. Things just got worse. And that's really the problem, though, isn't it? Highlighting the problem with the giving too much autonomy. There has to be a balance there, surely.
Yeah, it's the same thing that you were saying. This is the second time it's been reported, and I'm like, is it not the third because of rumorings of 343? But I think it's true. Like, there's an interview with who's the head of Double Fine? Tim Schafer. Yeah. Tim Schafer, yeah. There's an interview with him, and I think it was with IGN, host of Podcast Unlocked, and he was like, so can you give us like a peek behind the curtain of how it works over there, being now that you're like an Xbox Game Studios person? And he's like, pretty much all they do is just reach out to us every now and then and go, how's it going? Do you need anything?
That's fine. Yeah.
And then we let them know if we need anything, and then they're like, all right, cool.
More money, please.
Keep up the good work. Yeah, well, yeah, but like that's pretty much, and that's great, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to let their devs just make games and give them the resources to make those games and have it under their brand in exchange. But you're also, you're letting your kid out in the world and do whatever you want, kind of a thing. And just like a kid, sometimes people are like, oh, this person's kid did something, the parents must be terrible. That's exactly what this is. And just because it's a first party studio, it's gonna be that situation. So I don't know. I don't know if it is Matt Booty or people at Xbox Game Studios. I don't think so. I think it's just stuff with the studios themselves.
Yeah.
And just Xbox isn't paying, I don't want to say paying attention, but they're not bothering themselves to constantly be with a magnifying glass looking at them, kind of a thing.
That's a very good point, eh? So that kind of, see, that's the thing that this is really the crux of the issue that Tony's actually hinting at. Microsoft, because of all the PR, surely they're a bit averse to start meddling in because they're so on the PR thing that they're trying to be hands off and they don't want any excuses of people saying meddling. And on top of that, it's easier because they're trying to contend with so much. But isn't this going to come back to bite them in the arse if they don't start getting people to manage that ship?
Tony has changed my perspective entirely there because he's right. As a parent, I take no responsibility for anything that my children do. So, so yeah, no, you've got a fair point there. We've talked a few times about like whether Microsoft should be getting involved. They've got a history of being told they're doing too much. Sony are definitely quite controlling of their studios. No matter what anyone says, we know that they are. Microsoft used to be, and they've arguably gone too far towards being hands-off. Somebody, sorry, I missed the name in chat, but somebody made a good point. Like maybe this is exactly what Elizabeth Warren is talking about. Maybe Microsoft do have some problems, and things could be left to fester, like based on what's happened in these other studios. And yeah, you can make an argument that Microsoft haven't necessarily stepped in and made everything better for every studio that they've acquired based on what we're seeing there. Undead Labs is an interesting one though, because they're a tiny studio, so it's probably pretty easy to track down exactly who's been saying what there. And
I will say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
I didn't have anything.
Just like as a to that point about Microsoft versus Xbox, like as a gamer, I can't speak for anyone else, but my lens is pretty much like I see Xbox through a lot of what Phil Spencer says. And also some other people, some other figureheads at Xbox. I'm forgetting her name right now. There's a
Sarah Bond.
Sarah Bond, yeah, like what she says, and these people who are very, very good at being public-facing figureheads for this Xbox branch of Microsoft. So on the Microsoft side of things, there's probably a ton of stuff that I'm totally unaware of, and that might go for a lot of other gamers as well. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They are the a lot of people at one point used to say they were just that PR spokesman for the companies, but really what they say, they are in the driving seat. So they kind of dictate the policies. They're the head of Xbox after all. That doesn't come out. That comes with some responsibility. But those who are worried, though, there's some optimism there. They say, and those who stuck around are more optimistic and feel like the 2022 incarnations of Undead Labs and State of Decay 3 have finally turned a corner. And the quote is, "It could be such a cool game, and we've got a lot of great people working on it, and I just hope we don't repeat the terrible habits of the last few years," said one developer. So it's not all doom and gloom. There is potential that things have to be fixed. It was always inevitably, and we talked about this ages ago after the ZeniMax acquisition, it was always going to be a challenge to manage, especially when you've grown so tremendously, so fast. And they're going to be mistakes made. There are going to be lessons learned. And the question is, how quickly and effectively do they learn those lessons? So it remains to be seen. But on the back of that, how the hell does 343 keep messing up Halo? For God's sake, I was so right about this. But oh my God, they're so... it's just... Lately, they came out and they were being really dismissive about the whole... thing. Oh, by the way, before I go there, Rockers with a £10 super chat. Wasn't Zorka a pro player? He's talking about Apex Legends. Tell him word is coming straight from the pros. Gaz is shit at Apex. Source. Rocker, you are not good at Apex. When you get more than 100 damage at Apex Legends, I swear to then you can talk. Then you can talk. Shout out to Rocker. He's a great friend. But talk about Halo. Oh, Gaz likes to share 343. Was that right? Look, this is what This is what a 343 dev said, and just gives you an insight into how bad things are. I'm reading the quote. There are indeed a lot of challenges and constraints. We're certainly not happy to be unable to meet player and community expectations. It's a difficult situation that's going to take some time to work through. Right now, the focus is on season 2, and we'll have more to share in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, a lot of planning, costing, blah, 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 blah. Hiring is happening. A lot of hiring. Wait, this studio's a joke. It's all happening, which doesn't really lend to detailed regular updates. We understand the community is simply out of patience. The community is out of patience. The community is out of patience. I'm just one man. I was out of patience ages ago. And frankly, I think understandably tired of words. Tired of words for the people who kept saying, oh, well done for being so transparent. Tired of words. We just need some time to get the team, so we can get the details sorted and we can certainly share as much as we can. I'm telling you right now, season 2 is going to be absolutely crap. It's going to be crap. Just write home about it. You'll see some player spikes. And people will be there. The Halo stands will be like, yeah, but it's not good enough. It's what have you done to my boy? What have you done to Halo? Samurai KBG, I swear to God, if you disagree with me, you and me and all of us, actually me and you, I think probably in this panel are the biggest Halo fans. Halo was my number one franchise.
Probably still is for me, but that just ignoring the current situation. I don't agree or disagree with the stuff you're saying. I feel like, admittedly, like if I'm transparent, I'm like, he's bringing the sauce, so he's doing his job. He's bringing the sauce, but I'm not.
I mean, everything.
So here's what I will agree with. You just said like players are out of patience. I'm out of patience in a more sad way. I don't really care about the game anymore.
Holy shit! But I'm not. That's really bad.
But I'm not getting like, I'm not on Twitter constantly going, they need to do this. They're out of time. But I'm just like, they build up technical depth, and we are now in this situation, and bitching about it. I don't know what it's gonna do. Like, what is that gonna do at this point? It's already done. I have accepted that Halo Infinite is the first ever AAA Halo game that is early access. That's what I've accepted. And but honestly, that might sound sad, but when I put it in that way, it actually makes me more fine with it. Because I'm like, a year from now, it'll be complete. It'll have Forge. It'll have a lot of custom games. It'll have more maps, and it'll have more modes. It'll be complete a year, maybe a year and a half from now. And I'm just going to accept that this is the first ever early access Halo game that is free to play. So that's the way I go about it. And I also, the one factor I will disagree with, you were like, words, we're done with words. I'm actually wanting words. I want them to just drop nothing. Listen, nothing but bad news. I want them to do that. I want them to come out and go, we admit we did not have this game ready, but we had to launch it by this time. Because of that, we built up technical depth. Because of that, a lot of our staff also wasn't happy about the game, how the game was managed. And because of that, our management has also been declining. We are working our ways to fix these issues, but we are still working the best we can on season 2 and 3. These seasons are going to take a lot longer because of what we have done, and we apologize to you immensely. But we believe us being forward about this will hopefully not justify us, but help you understand how much we suck. They don't add that last part, but like with the transparency, it's not to forgive them, but it's like when your kid admits, I always do the kid analogies. They admit that they did something wrong. That's better than them lying to you about it. Like you're still going to be mad at them, but at least they fessed up to crashing your car by taking off the parking brake.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
the words I want. I'd rather
those are the words that aren't good enough for me. See, I see. That's pretty much what they're saying now, Tony. It's pretty much exactly what they're saying now. What I want them to say is like, yo, listen, we messed up. There was There was no Joseph Staten. He's come out and we've fixed things. There's going to be so much sick content coming. You will forget everything we did wrong. So many maps, you'll be drowning in maps. Forget Apex Legends, forget all these other games. Story, you want a timeline? Here it is. I'm going to make a sick timeline. Look, November, you're going to get this, then you're going to get this. This is it. I'll thank you to you and our apology to you. We're going to deliver something so sick, none of you will complain. That is how they should do it. And that's the pedigree of a studio that has such a big seminal franchise should be saying it. Crack the whip out.
I wouldn't believe them. It's sad, but I wouldn't believe them if they said it.
It should be that. It shouldn't even be about believing. It's like, okay, hey, let's give you a glimpse. This is our timeline. This is how rigidly we're going to get it. We're hiring loads of people. This guy from this studio, and we are going to make it the sickest game ever. That's the attitude they should have. But they won't. And I'm a bit extra. Josh, talk to me. What is you're an outsider looking in from a Halo fan. You're looking and observing and watching what the shit show that is Halo Infinite, which is genuinely, and Hussein, was it Hussein? Oh yeah, Hussein Abdullah in the chat says, gameplay-wise, Halo Infinite obliterates the previous games. I agree with you. Some of the gameplay
100%.
was so good.
100%.
It's so good. Open world is amazing. Yeah, it's just so scarce. But I agree with you. My review is there. I called it an incomplete masterpiece. I don't use those words lightly. But Josh, outsider, looking into the Haloverse, what is your take on this, man?
Initially, I am really an outsider here. I haven't read up much on this, and I played the campaign, and I didn't actually even finish the campaign, and I've never played Halo multiplayer, so I want to get that out of the way. But I have heard about this, I listened to enough podcasts that I'm just bummed for Halo. Like, I think that this is a super storied franchise. Before the launch of Halo Infinite, though, I thought, is it so old and stale that it's, the ship has maybe sailed on Halo, but that did not appear to be the case. It seemed like they made a game that brought it back to relevance. So I'm bummed that I hear that the player count, I don't know if we know the actual numbers, but I think we do. And it's the last I heard, it was
just on Steam.
Pretty dismal, Steam. So the fact that they're not able to keep the interest going, I think it's a bummer, but I also think it's indicative of just how incredibly hard it is to develop a strong and persistent, I don't know if that's the right word, but just a live service game that holds people's attention. Like, it's possible. There's games out there that are doing it, but there's so many more that try and fail. And the fact that Halo couldn't seemingly, at least in the short run, can't pull it off. That's not to say they can't bring people back, but it's just kind of a bummer. But I do think that the more live service games that do end up ultimately failing, we don't know if Halo will fail or not, at least on the multiplayer live service side of things. I think it just goes to show that this is such a hard thing to do. That's kind of where my thoughts are at. As far as me personally, it literally just doesn't affect me at all. I don't play Halo.
I love you, man. No, it's
you played the campaign.
Yeah,
I saw that. You played the campaign.
And I thought it was awesome. Like, I did not realize before that, because I don't know if I can say famously, but Tony and I had a conversation on this very show about how I hadn't played the previous Halo game. Yeah. And what surprised me about it is how tactical it was. Like, this is it's I know the others were more corridor shooters, and this obviously was an open world, but I loved how I could get into these, they're not even arenas, they're just areas, and I could figure out ways that I wanted to take out these enemies. I didn't feel at all like the game was forcing me into any style of gameplay, which I thought was awesome. So the shooting mechanics, the open world gameplay, and more specifically, these, the battles that I got into were super satisfying. I loved it.
Yeah.
I look back at campaign fondly, actually. That's kind of like the one I have in my inner community right now. I have a Halo channel in my Discord. Yeah. And we all look back and feel like campaign was kind of that one thing that obviously it's lacking co-op, and obviously some folks, guys, might not care for the story and whatnot. But it's the one thing that we feel like, yeah, this feels like complete. If it was a single player adventure, this feels somewhat complete. Yeah.
This hurt. Anyway. Those words hurt. The word complete there hurt so much. But I take it on board. And it's really nice to hear Josh's view on it as well. And Josh, I think if you played the older games, you'll find that despite being less open, there's still a lot of that freedom to approach encounters. That's what makes Halo. So I'd be intrigued to see what you think if you did play those games. Asa, I know.
They're on my
Yeah.
backlog.
Josh,
I got them there.
Josh. Hey, Josh. On a
Yo.
personal note, that's our next It Takes Two run.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
our next It Takes Two run.
it occurs to me every once in a while. I'm like, I have the Master Chief Collection, and I did play Halo 1 or Combat Evolved, and I do think that game hasn't aged all that well. But I know that the others are much different, and I think we should do it, Tony. I think we should just.
Josh and I played It Takes Two together, so that's the joke.
Oh yeah, no. Me and Hoggy are playing It Takes Two. Incredible game, but I would love to hear your thoughts because last time you were here a year ago, you hadn't played it and still haven't played it. You have to play it. Play with Tony. Play with Tony. He's the best person to play with, actually. Shout out to 267 people who are watching. Smash that like button. We're gonna get into the final saucy topic about Sony's admirable attempt at trying to take out Xbox Game Pass. But before we do that, we have to talk about a couple of topics. First of all, Blue Box, their game is a scam. Okay, next topic, E3. So E3 is cancelled. E3 is cancelled. I'm not talking about Blue Box. Nothing is a scam. There's not much to say there. The E3 is cancelled, and it's a sad moment for me, for all us dinosaurs who used to watch it every year. It was the big show, even if it wasn't going to be because of COVID, an in-person event, no digital event. Is this the end of E3? Is E3 cancelled? Tony, talk to me.
Well, is E3 canceled? Yes.
I mean, forever. Sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah. The way you phrased that question, I'm like, yes. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. Yes, E3 2022 has been canceled. Does that mean it's gone forever? I mean, the official answer is they're doing this so they could just gear up for 2023.
Is that the official answer? Is that what they said?
Well, they said, yeah, they're.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
For 2020. Yeah, they're planning for 2023. So they're currently, they're planning for next year. I have a theory that this happened because the digital event last year, because that happened. What we're experiencing right now in 2022, this is what happened in 2020. There wasn't any E3 in 2020. So, but last year they gave the digital version a shot. It was okay. Some might have hated it. Some might have actually liked it. I thought it was like, okay. But maybe it didn't go the way they really wanted it to in terms of viewership, in terms of like publishers that came, and they feel like the only way they could really do it again is if it's physical, because you do get a lot more revenue by doing that. Yes, it's bigger to produce, but you have so much more attendees. You can sell passes, blah, blah, blah. I have a feeling they don't want to do it again unless it's physical. They didn't want to do it on a digital show this year. So I think they will come back next year and they'll try it. And if it's not physical, I don't know. They might just drop it. And by then let's get physical. Yeah. But if it doesn't happen for them, the bigger question is not will E3 be gone? It's will any of the publishers come back? That's the real question. Because you don't have E3 without the publishers. And if they went 2020 without them, a lot of them came back last year. But if they do it again this year, will they come back next year? That's really the big question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, your thoughts on the back of that, Josh? You're probably sad to see E3 go. What do you think? The publishers still be interested? Whilst there are other sharks out there to fill in the vacuum of E3, you know who that is. Jeff Keighley.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Jeff Keighley's plan for like world domination is like coming together brilliantly.
He's loving it.
And more power to him. But I am bummed that E3, I don't think will ever be what it once was. That's, I think, like pretty much a given. And yeah, like as a kid, I paid attention to E3. It was always a dream of mine to go. I was lucky enough to go to the last two. They were great. But yeah, like I think the in-person element is something I really miss it. If I'm planning on, I finally feel like I'm like comfortable going to like PAX or one of these shows again. Maybe I'll book a ticket to Germany and go to Gamescom next year. I don't know.
This year, it's an in-person event. So come meet us. Come see us.
Yeah, I'd love to hit up Gamescom. So I don't think that there are, I would be surprised. I'll put it that way. I'll be surprised if the ESA can find enough publishers to put on a show where they can like book the LA Convention Center and do anything like they did last year. I think if they do an in-person event, it'll be very different. It'll be much smaller scale. You know, PlayStation, Xbox, and PlayStation and Xbox didn't participate the way that they used to. Sony was gone completely, and Xbox rented out their own theater, so they weren't part of E3 officially. And then Nintendo, they were on the floor, but they didn't have their press event. So those are three that probably won't come back. I just don't see it. And then you have like publishers like Ubisoft doing their own event. EA was also there, but not. So they didn't put money into the ESA's pocket, and they probably won't in the future. So yeah, will it be? I don't know what it'll be. I do hope they try to do something and they succeed. And if the ESA can't pull it off, I hope somebody else, whether it's Jeff Keighley or somebody, does some sort of in-person event. Because like there's the personal network, not personal, but like professional networking that you get from being there in person. Like you can't really replace that. And as a content creator, the 2 years that I did go, like I did a preview for example, Doom Eternal that did really well on my channel, got like 400, I don't know, got a lot of views. And I was able to say, I played this game, and I was able to offer my viewers something that no other, I'm not the only person who played Doom, but I had my experience that I was able to share. And so these in-person events are something that actually for a content creator are really valuable, but they're not there anymore. At least they haven't been for the last 2 years.
Absolutely, man. That's the thing that, well, for us content creators is a big thing. But it has a lot of utility for people who do watch your content or want to know more about the game. Instead of being relegated to watching a sizzle reel, you get hands-on impressions of those games. That's a great point. Asa, I didn't even consider this point that Tony mentioned. Without publishers, the show is pretty much dead. Is E3 at a point of no return, possibly?
It's a fair point. They're going to struggle to bring people back because they charge publishers to have a presence at their show.
A lot.
So it's not, a lot. So yeah, they've got to have something that people are excited about, that those publishers want to get involved in. It is. So we were on XNC last week, the week before, and there was a super chat where someone said, do you reckon, I can't remember what game it was, they were like, do you reckon this game is going to be at E3? And I had the joy of answering that question last. So I think you and Colt both said, like, yeah, that one will be at E3. And I said, no, there's not an E3 this year. And it's weird that, like, to me, that was clear. That had pretty much already been announced. If you actually looked at the announcement that they made at the start of the year, in January, whenever it was, they mentioned nothing of a digital-only event. They just said, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And
I just assumed.
I don't know, everyone just assumed, because it's what we've become accustomed to, that it'll be replaced by a digital one. It's not. If anybody had the misfortune of actually doing the press kind of content creator side of E3 last year, they invested a fair amount into building some kind of platform for it, and it was horrific. And it wasn't used in the way they intended at all. It made you create, you probably saw on Twitter, these ridiculous profile pictures that, no, Yadani, I'm not a prophet, that I just read what they said. That doesn't count as prophecy. But yeah, they had a ridiculous platform. It was like a big old forum where you were supposed to arrange meetings and things, and it just did not work. So there is no value to them doing a digital-only event this year after how badly they ran it last year. And do they intend to come back in 2023? I mean, what other purpose do the ESA actually serve? So yeah, I assume they do actually intend to come back. Publishers-wise, so long as Xbox support them, they'll probably be okay. But that's going by last year when Xbox and Devolver Digital were the only shows worth watching. Everybody else did a very half-hearted, like, shows that people didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we shall see. I don't know if there'll ever be another one. I don't think it will ever return to what it was. I'm with most other people in saying that Jeff Keighley's shows have too many adverts. So hopefully that won't be the only avenue for watching these things. But
there's a question on that too. I'd be curious to both like the chat and you guys. Do you prefer for like E3 to be that bonanza of a week, or for it to be like a season? You know, because that's really what we're facing now. There's E3, the bonanza week, or there's Summer Game Fest, which is like the season. So that's a good question, you guys in the chat.
Oh, wow, Hoggy Channy just dropped a Tiny Tina US code. Shout out to Hoggy,
Nice,
very
nice.
generous of you. Whoever snipes that, great game. Colt has been just literally on the phone with me, says it's an incredible game. So I game share with Colt. Thank you. I get to play that. But yeah, thank you, Hoggy. Very generous of you. In terms of the question you asked, I think it should stay the same. That 1 week big event. That's what makes it so big. Also, cut it off. I know they probably won't because they need to make money, but cut it away from the public. Let the press come in. That's when it was best, where it felt like there was
Yes.
something here.
Totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
You filthy cat.
Even though I've been to E3 as like a public thing, it was not an enjoyable for me. It was not an enjoyable experience with how crowded that was. Just let the press
Yeah.
do their thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'll watch it from home.
Let the press do things, and you guys don't get it. Suck my. No, honestly, I've been to many events like that, whether it's open like Gamescom, 300,000 people. Last time I went, it was insane. Insane. No chance. You weren't talking about 3-hour queues to play for a game for 5 minutes. Luckily, we were press and we could just kind of we're so small, but like 3 people press, but we blagged our way through by lying and say, hey, I spoke to Monica at Sony. Can I see Killzone? That's how I did it. It's funny because and if I go to E3, I will make it so funny, just terrorizing people there. But generally, it has to be for it to be a good E3, I believe, no public allowed, because then it just becomes about marketing and adverts and selling things and not really about the games. But yeah, last but certainly not least, oh yeah, Tony is pointing at me. Do you want to say something?
Well, because I just keep seeing this whole ad thing about Summer Game Fest, and I'm like, the thing about Summer Game Fest that I just don't think, like, they're like, oh, there's always Summer Game Fest. There is a show and maybe a couple of interviews, but otherwise it's just Jeff Keighley and his website just putting on the, if you remember this,
Yeah.
they just put on the calendar, this is the EA thing, this is the Xbox thing, this is Nintendo. It's just to let you know when other people are doing it, but it's not a Summer Game Fest event.
Yeah,
He's just letting you know these are when they're doing the things. So, and they don't run ads during the Xbox July showcase, during the PlayStation showcase, during Nintendo Direct. They don't run ads during those.
Yeah,
But during his show, yeah, there will be.
Exactly. So when I say his show, I was talking about the Game Awards. Summer Game Fest, I will forever be bitter about, because the first year of it, I believed him. He's like, we're running this great event called Summer Game Fest, and they put this calendar out, and we did some coverage of it, and most of the events he had the times wrong. I was like, can you claim to have these shows as part of your event and you've got the times wrong? And screwed us all over.
Ridiculous.
So I've been mad about that forever. But
One question I have is, like, we were talking about Gamescom, could that basically just be E3? Like, I think attendance wise, it's bigger than E3 ever was. So it's got that. But like, if we talk about, will there be an in-person thing again? Well, there is. Gamescom.
There is. Gamescom is the one. It was always, even back then when E3 was in its prime, Gamescom was pulling massive numbers, impressive numbers. When we went just before the launch of last-gen consoles, masses of people, and it was really good show. It was really well organized despite the big numbers. So that's a great point. Gamescom will be really using this to push comms to publishers and console makers. Hey, and it's closer to the holiday season, so it works better in terms of, holiday season and advertising then as well. So that's a great point. It could be Gamescom. Gamescom, you have to understand.
Jeff Keighley's already there, by the way.
And Jeff Keighley's got to be there as well. Yeah, exactly. But with Gamescom, the whole city of Cologne, it's insane. We didn't expect it. When we went, they had gaming mascots everywhere, like the events, the bars, everything was gaming themed. It's like the whole town takes over gaming. It's like,
that's awesome.
It's like, what's like a festival, but for gaming. It's actually a proper summer game fest, but for gaming. So don't write out. It's really interesting to see. And yeah, that'd be great, actually. Kind of getting me hyped for it. And we will most likely go this year. We will definitely go A70. And if you guys, gents, can make it, that would be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. If you guys can in the chat, can meet us there, that'd be great. Apart from the spam bot, but you probably don't leave your house. Last but certainly not least, it's the big topic. The topic that thankfully some of you users of GameOnDaily actually commented on, and one of you, I say one of you is going to win a game code. Later on, it's going to be many of you who start using the website and we start figuring out how to do this competition. We'll be giving out game codes like this during the show. That's my intention. But one of you is going to win a game code. A good game could be, well, if you have the game already, we'll speak and I'll buy you whatever game you want. But let's talk about this topic. This is the big one. You wanted Source? It just made itself. PlayStation Plus Spartacus was going to be this game changer. Oh my God, Xbox is dead. Day and date's coming. I saw before the announcement, I saw some people damage limitation already preemptively because they knew this was not going to really pan out that way. But did it pan out as bad as it really panned out? It was so laughable. I should have laughed because I ended up not saving as much money as I could, but it's so bad. It's so bad. And then Jim Ryan comes out. And so, but is it bad? Is it bad? Leo Lion likes it. I'm just an expert. What do I know? Asa, someone routinely criticizes us, say, "Hey man, you guys really give PlayStation a hard time," and I do, because I'm such a piece of. Why don't you explain what the tiers are to our loveliest, please? And for some nuanced conversation, I'm going to sit quiet and then add my 2 cents in. You just do the whole segment. I'm going to do it right at the end.
C4 Skills says that I said it would be better than Game Pass. I gotta say no, I didn't. It's actually exactly what I said it would be, right? It's a rebranding of PlayStation now. So if you haven't seen it, I'm assuming everyone has seen this bit of news, but Sony have come out and announced their Spartacus, exactly what it is. And it is what was leaked a while ago. There's 3 tiers of it. You've got Essentials, which is PlayStation Plus as it is now. Small discrepancy in that they say you get 2 games a month, which is actually less than you get now. I'm not sure if that's had as much attention as it should. But that's basically current PlayStation Plus. They've said you get what's the second tier called? Extra. Comes with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games, up to 400 of them on top of that, which is essentially PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games that are currently on PlayStation Now. And then they've got their premium tier, which is the one that really stands out as being quite poor value. The premium tier is the whole of PlayStation Now as it stands. So they say over 700 games, which is true if you look at the PlayStation Now catalogue, as well as game trials. They haven't gone into the details of exactly what a game trial is, but it's definitely not the day and date games that Gaz was hoping for. And is there anything else that comes with? Streaming the back compat, the PS3 games and the PS2 and PS1 games. That's what separates premium from extra. The thing that surprised even me in terms of it being lackluster is how little effort they went to for the extras. Because I knew I was pretty confident that it was going to be PlayStation Now rebranded. But I thought they'd put a bit more of a push into trying to make it at least seem appealing, right? And they announced a handful of games, about 6 games that are coming to the service. As it's like Returnal is a standout as one that matters. Like had Mortal Kombat 11, a handful of other games, and they did less than I expected to kind of make a song and dance of it. So a lot of people are disappointed about it. It's fair to say, I mean, it's impossible to argue that it's just not as good as Game Pass as a service offering for us, as people buying into it. Jim Ryan did say some things that imply he's not necessarily entirely stupid with it. There's a lot to unpack. Like, the conversation isn't as simple as like, haha, PlayStation should have done what Xbox have done. That's not necessarily true. Not necessarily a smart move for PlayStation. Okay, why? What a question. Okay, imagine, if you will, hypothetical, Game Pass had 25 million subscribers, which is the last number that we know. Hypothetically, imagine PlayStation Plus only had 25 million subscribers. It doesn't, it's got twice that. Which service is more profitable?
Say it again?
It's a very easy question. If you had Game Pass and you had PlayStation Plus, both on the same number of subscribers, which service is more profitable?
Probably PlayStation Plus because of the...
Well, it's a Game Pass Ultimate.
No, by a country mile, PlayStation
Ultimate?
Plus is more profitable because the costs going into it are dramatically lower than they are for Game Pass.
Yeah.
I reckon if you were to drill into it, Final Fantasy 14 is probably more profitable than Game Pass. Going to go out on a limb there. A subscription game, single game that's got like 10 million people, more profitable than Game Pass. Okay, so for us as consumers, hell yes, we want Sony to do Game Pass, to give us day and date games, to do all of that for the price that it's at. But for Jim Ryan as Sony saying like, my job is to make as much money as possible, you can absolutely understand the route that they're taking. Can't necessarily last forever if the industry really shifts, but we're not there yet. But the things that he said that were more interesting is the way that he sees, and I think this is a more interesting discussion point, by the way, the things going forward that he sees in terms of the direction of the industry. He doesn't think that a subscription service like Game Pass is the direction that the industry will take overall. And he cites some reasons for that, and they're quite interesting. Do you want me to go into them, or do you want to take it like a bit more?
Go into it.
Okay. The reasons, yeah, Jim is a money man, like you say in chat, but again, I have to say really, really clearly, like I'm a person at the other end. I want Game Pass. I want Sony to do Game Pass. Of course I do. Like that's clearly better for all of us. But yeah, just stepping outside of my own perspective and looking at theirs, I can understand what's happening, and I'm sure everybody else can as well. I'm not pretending to be some kind of oracle, but so the stuff that Jim Ryan is saying is that actually a lot of people playing games don't play that many games. And we know from Microsoft that people with Game Pass play more than usual. But actually, there's an awful lot of people who have their favorite games and they stick with them. And Sony are gambling on their 10 or 11 service games that they're making being successes and being their equivalent of Game Pass. So if you've got like got your Final Fantasy 14 or your Fortnite as an example, singular game, much lower cost than Game Pass. People stick to that one game, like Destiny 2. You've got massive audience of people that don't consume games in the same way that you do music and movies. They'll get a favourite and they'll stay there. And Jim Ryan is saying, actually, gaming isn't like music and it isn't like movies. And I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where people want that buffet and want to play 20 different games a month. Is he right? Is he wrong? I don't know. Because from my perspective, I'm sitting in the chair and I use Game Pass, I'll play 20 games a month quite happily. But I understand there are plenty of people that don't. So, I mean, you don't, Gaz. You're an example. You play like 3 games a year, right? So you're an advocate for Game Pass, but actually, it's not necessarily that good for you.
It's great for me because I get to play all these games without spending money. But Game Pass is the reason why I will try loads of games. And I fall right into that pie chart of Xbox's Game Pass's metric. I do have the Apex Legends I'll play daily, almost daily, religiously. But that doesn't mean that I don't see Game Pass is the reason why I'm very quick to spend money on a game that I wouldn't normally be, because the perception is I'm saving lots of money. Josh, you are a PlayStation guy. Surely you were expecting more from Spartacus, which Huggy Channy in this $5 super chat goes, I'm Spartacus, PlayStation announced what it is. I hear he's Spartacus came on Source. What's your take on that?
Well, my expectations, so PlayStation has been making some decisions in the last several months, maybe years, that has led me, I actually had pretty low expectations. I did not expect PlayStation to knock our socks off. Most recently, they did the thing with Horizon. I mean, these may seem like small things, but I think they're indicative of the direction PlayStation is going. And so there was the release of Horizon Forbidden West when they had the price discrepancy between the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4 version. And you could buy the PlayStation 5 version for $70, but you could just also buy the PlayStation 4 version and upgrade for free, right? But they didn't communicate that. So that was disappointing. Then the whole Gran Turismo fiasco. I played Gran Turismo. I paid $70 for it. Loved the game. Awesome game. But absolutely the microtransactions and the always online DRM, I don't want to say ruined it, but it's certainly like that game may not make my top 10 games of the year, but if it was based purely on gameplay, it would. Anyway, the point I'm making here is PlayStation has been making some questionable decisions that seem to me that they're leaning more in the direction of they know how they can make money and they're going to make decisions. They're going to push that as far as they can. So that's what I was expecting from Spartacus. And sure enough, I think that's pretty much what they gave us. Now, I will say if you sign up for the annual version of this, even at the premium level, it's cheaper than Game Pass, right? Because Game Pass doesn't offer an annual version. So there is some value there. But I agree with just about everything Ace has said. I think that they're kind of doing the bare minimum. The extras don't feel very extra. I don't buy that they can't figure out how to make PlayStation 3 games work on a PS5. I think we know the emulation software exists for PC. I may be speaking, I don't use emulators, but as far as I know, that exists. Can't imagine they can't figure out how to make that work on a PlayStation 5. So that was disappointing for me as someone who does, I buy and play old games. I'm one of those gamers. But yeah, on the surface of it, this is basically just PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now as it used to exist, plus legacy games and demos. Well, that doesn't seem like that much to me, you know. As I will say, I subscribe to PlayStation Now, and I think the library is great. It's not as good as Game Pass. It's bigger, but it's not as high quality, in my opinion, mainly because you do get those day one games, first party games on Game Pass. Like, I was thinking about it this morning. Like, the big two Xbox games I played last year were Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, right? That's $120 worth of game that I didn't have to pay for. That's exactly what I pay for Game Pass, right? No, I actually pay more for Game Pass because I do subscribe to Ultimate. But anyway, then I think about the two first party games I've played on PlayStation this year, Horizon and Gran Turismo. I had to pay for those out of pocket. I'm still going to have to pay for those out of pocket. So all things remaining the same, if I subscribe to PlayStation Plus Premium, that's $120 a year. Still have to pay for Gran Turismo and Horizon. That's $240. And then I go to Game Pass and I'm looking at these games that I got included in that price that I didn't have to pay for. To Ace's point earlier, I think this is really interesting that games are not similar to music and movies. Like, yeah, I can consume 50 songs a day if I want to, and a movie a night, a week if I want to. I can't really do that with video games. So maybe having this bulk selection of games is too much for most gamers. However, I think with Game Pass, the reason I think they've figured it out, if they can make it profitable, is they have the highest quality games. It doesn't matter that I have 150 games to choose from. The ones that I want to play are there.
Yeah.
Boom. Like, that's why Game Pass is a value to the casual gamer. And they're way more, as we know, casual gamers than hardcore gamers. The casual gamer buys an X. They spend $500 on an Xbox Series X so they can play Halo, Forza 5, Starfield, Doom Eternal, whatever. Those are the games they spend their money on, and those are on Game Pass. So gamers en masse, I think, will subscribe to Game Pass and be happy with it.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
And that's a great take, and it kind of hits the comparative value between the two, especially Starlink. And that's only relegated to two games you're playing. If you're enjoying other games like Tunic and all those on Game Pass, you're saving even heaps more money. Tony, the Spartacus, did it even change the name of PlayStation Now? At least have a rebrand. Why is it? What's your take on it?
First off, guess what? I don't think this is Spartacus.
Oh, so you think they're holding their cards together?
Kind of funny this week. I don't know if you guys listen to them, but there was, who's the owner of Kind of Funny? Greg Miller? Yeah. He was talking about he and Jeff Grubb and folks were hearing rumors that there was going to be like 3 different PlayStation things happening this week, and only one of them did. But we don't know if this was actually the hardcore Spartacus situation. It might be. I'm not actually confident on this, but just that name, I'm not 100% that this is what that was. It might be, and if it is, let's just go with it is. Does this go well with against Game Pass? Guess what? This might be crazy. As a primary Xbox person, there is going to be a lot of people that would prefer this over Game Pass. Huh?
Well, prefer what they've just announced over Game
Yes,
Pass?
the PlayStation Plus options. The reason I say
You
that.
on crack! You on crack! What are you
Listen,
talking about?
I didn't finish this though. Do I prefer it? Probably not. But the thing that I'm just saying is, if folks have no interest to play a game at launch, that's basically it. If people don't care to play a game at launch, and because that's how I used to be when I was a gamer. Very sparingly would I get a game at launch. I would usually just play whatever's next, or I would go to my GameStop. Oh yeah, this came out a couple months ago, and grab it. There's got to be some that are like that. Is that the majority? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying some. I'm saying some, not most. Some might. It's like people are like, oh, you want an Android, you want an iPhone. There's one that might suit you better for certain reasons.
Argument's sake, so if that's the case, if there's this person there who specifically doesn't want day one games, why would they prefer PlayStation Plus? What does it offer over Game Pass?
Because there's a larger catalog. There's also the options you can choose to have, and you also save money in the long run. I prefer Game Pass Ultimate more. I do. But I'm just saying, those are three things that there are some people out there this is for. I'm not trying to defend what they're doing. What I'm saying is that there's going to be some folks out there this is for. And honestly, it's cool that there's options. I see the chat going nuts. I love it.
Tony's smoking crack. And the other guy is having the same
I love
thing.
it.
Tony, stop smoking
I love it.
crack. And
I'm giving you some kind of sauce. I came to this show
smoking crack.
I came to this show today and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make that chat blow up by offering this hot ass take that I know they're going to flip at. But seriously, I saw this announcement and I was like, well, that's a little bit disappointing. But I was like Josh, I didn't think that they would ever do the day one thing. And for now, that's the case. Will they in the future? I don't know. But for now, that's not the case.
I don't think there's a hidden Spartacus thing, because Jim Ryan actually came out and said it's not profitable, it's not feasible for them to, otherwise the quality of their games dilutes if they do day and date. So he lies a lot. So,
yeah, even if this is Spartacus, that was just an idea earlier, but just even if this is, it is neat that it is in a sense cheaper, and that you have the option to if you're not into playing old games, you could do the middle one. If you just want PS4 games, you could just do the middle one, save some money. And I saw somebody earlier say this, Miles Morales and Returnal, that's a decent start, because those are two games that were like, one of them was last year and the other one was like just before last year. A lot of people might have played them by now, but dude, I don't know. I do my best to try to see rationally all sides of things.
I get it, but right now it looks like you're stretching yourself so hard to see. And I say, look, okay, fine. There may be some people who think, well, okay, that suits me better, but they need to lay off the crack. No,
I did smoke a little bit before this. So. That's why the internet blew up, man.
I can see where your bandwidth is going. Before I go into my take, Yudani Kuzada, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Goes, this is an Xbox extending an olive branch to you ponies. You love those terminologies. Don't say I ain't ever giving y'all anything. And he gives a 1 year PS Plus code, which I'm not even entirely sure is real, but I assume it's real. It may be real. Hoggy Channy with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Very generous of you after giving away that game as well. Xbox has already made a sub that is useful to casual gamers. Those gamers play EA Sports games and or COD. COD has both. Ponies claim they buy their games, so they don't need Spartacus. I saw a lot of that, by the way. They're celebrating. Thank you, Sony, for not diluting the quality of your first-party exclusives by giving us better value for money. Wow, it's so dumb. But there's, I'm sure, an argument there. EIRE Bear 32. Thank you so much for. Thank you so much for being a GameOnDaily member. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining the familia. Rel, thank you for the $2 super chat. Because Xbox Live rewards can make Game Pass free. Yes, Yes, it can if you use them correctly, which I still haven't figured out. The Glitch Doctor, thank you so much for being a member for 7 months. He says PlayStation Plus Extra sounds all right, but the features of Premium are so lame that it makes me think Premium tier is just a placeholder for the day and date model. That's what it feels like. It's like so half-assed. But why is the backwards compat, which is streamed behind a paywall when it's competition, is giving you the right to, if you've got the games on CD or whatever on your library, you can play them. It's such a marked difference.
Yeah,
Tony,
I know that you're going to do your take and you're going to rant for a little while. So I just want to touch on the one thing that I didn't mention there first, just to go around, right? The thing that I didn't mention there, Jim Ryan's other famous quote, his virtuous cycle, is that putting games day and date on Game Pass, not Game Pass, maybe one day, but not yet, onto PlayStation Plus would hurt the quality of them, right? I'm going to say my opinion on that first. It wouldn't.
Yep.
Okay, he's stretching the truth there. I agree with most people. They could deliver those games to a day and date service if they chose to, and they can choose to at any point in the future when it suits them. The virtuous cycle is not real. It's not entirely made up, but it's not an essential component. The only thing I will say is asking them to put those tentpole things on a day and date service is, I say games are different to movies, but there's a parallel here. It would be like asking Disney to put the big Marvel movies straight onto Disney Plus day and date. They could if they wanted to. They've got the money to do it. Why would they? And that's the situation for Sony for those games. The why would they? Yeah, you can argue Game Pass is there and it's making them look bad, but in terms of bottom line, why would they?
I stuffed that too, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's complete bullshit. It's bullshit from Jim Ryan to say that, oh, the game's quality would suffer, and the people fell for it. And I can't wait to make my source video when I get better, because it's just a stupid argument. And you put it really well there with the Disney Plus analogy. It's just so stupid, and people are falling for it. And they said, thank you for giving us less. How easy is it for you to fool some of you people? Danny Passion Official, thank you so much for the $5 super. He goes, Tony, don't. I may sell my PS5 that I just got. PS Plus over Game Pass. Your coconut punch.
I didn't understand.
I don't know. There's emojis there. Sony contradicted itself. MLB is a Sony game, and it's day one on Game Pass. And
it's a super good point. Super good point.
And you're gonna have to pay for that on PlayStation. That is not going to be on PS4.
It's so crazy. Isn't that insane?
It's insane. And then people still want to go at this whole notion that, they still celebrate. Some of the community on that PlayStation side, I don't know. Josh, you are a shining beacon in a sea of so much shit. I said it. But look, I'm not going to rant about it because I'm going to eat into my source video content, but there's a lot there. However, for the people who left the comment on our website, Asa is going to take over. Thank you so much for your comments on what your take was. I was interested in seeing what those were, and I'm going to read some of these comments. I can find the article. Yes, I can, because I'm organized like that. So I'm going to read a few. Let's just get. I don't know, Asa. I'm not looking at the stream. I'm looking at the article. So let me know if it's up. But we had Purple Tree Frog.
Particularly legible, so you just read through them.
Okay. Well, Purple Tree Frog at the top, he says, to quote Bob Dylan, the times they're changing. I'm almost certain they will move to have the various gas games included as part of their subscription service in the future. Even if their current branch of AAA single-player games aren't up for including yet and gas. So it's a great point. Leaving money on the table if they don't attempt to attract more casual players to subscribe at the highest tier. Larsen, with a very spicy take, says, first, it was, we believe in generations. Then it was, why would anyone want to play this? They deceived everyone thinking they needed a PS5 or they would miss out on exclusives. Great point, which we will all know was one big lie. And Jim Ryan said he couldn't fathom why anyone would play old games. Was it Jim Ryan? Maybe it was. Yep. With Ancient. What did he say that? Wow. And then the premium tier offers backwards compat behind a paywall. General C says, it's interesting, isn't it? Quoting Jim Ryan. I wish I could play that sound quote like Fonz does. Big Bad Mo says, I give PlayStation a year to go day and date. I say this because when the floodgates are open for Microsoft and the quality is there, what will be the excuse for PlayStation then? It's dead if it's not day and date after that, in my opinion. And he's right. I said this in my source video. If they don't do day and they have to with Activision Blizzard. They keep straddling. I'm sure they will change, but saying a year to go by, interesting. Possibly Cthulhu, great username. We believe in Gen ... Enerous subscriptions. Sorry for that. Tony, you call me. He's in the chat. Oh my God, not Tony. Why am I reading his message? Like in the great words of Calvin and Hobbes, change is invigorating. If you don't accept new challenges, you become complacent and lazy. Your life atrophies. Wow, Tony, what the hell? You actually laid off the crack there with some great comments. Husk, the only thing that's going to suffer are the people's wallets that don't pay for cloud saves annually as opposed to monthly. The cloud saves thing, guys, that must piss. Come on, we can't take that. That's a piss take. No, Josh, come on, man. Like, compared to Xbox, it's not even. Why is that under paywall? Why is that under paywall?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, since I've been a PS Plus member for so long, it's like I don't think about it. But if I didn't pay for that and I got a PlayStation and I didn't want a subscription, I'd definitely be upset about that. Like, there's no reason to have to. That should be a feature on a console nowadays. Now, I don't know, like, if I've ever used a cloud save in my life, to be honest with you, but just knowing that it's there is definitely nice, and it should be. I'm sure there are people who use them, but yeah.
Definitely. I do between PC and Xbox, it syncs the save. It's like magic. And it's just insane that they haven't got that. Meep357 says it's about giving people who are already blinded by Sony an excuse to stay blinded by saying things that sound plausible. Sounds like Tony. I'm just kidding, Tony. Just don't hate me. I don't disagree with you. I admire your I admire your strength, your courage. Eternal Umbra, thank you so much for the comment. He goes, claiming the quality of their games could suffer. This is on the point of Jim Ryan. If they put the service day and date, is such a bold-faced lie that Jim knows the PlayStation fan base will be willing to swallow, as they very rarely ever challenge them into their anti-consumer practices. Oh, that's such a good comment I could use on my source video. Harry Go Lucky from Gamers Watch.
Ding, ding, ding. This one, Gaz, this one's the winning comment. Just so you know, you can still read it out. Go ahead, but they're on the list of comments. Most substance, good points. Go for it.
This one, Harry Go Lucky?
Yeah.
Oh, for Gamers Watch. Well done. He goes, for years we've had Sony fans, developers, and Acer picked this one. I haven't even read this. For years we've had Sony fans, developers, and even Jim Ryan say, why would we want to play old games and Game Pass is full of fodder? Yet here we are. With Sony celebrating the fact that they're opening up a back catalogue of fodder and old games, some of which can't even be played natively and have to be streamed. Competition breeds success. Yet Sony very clearly they think of themselves as Apple of the gaming world, even like Nintendo of the gaming world, banking on their legions of devoted fans to pay more money for a substantially worse offering than others. Cloud saves, back compat, and game streaming shouldn't be hidden behind artificial paywalls. These guys are saying some dang things. Sony have created a service that offers exactly the same as they're already getting for more money. I bought my Series X specifically because of Game Pass All Access. This does not want to make me rush out to the store to find a PS5. Harry Go Lucky, aka Harry from Gamers Watch, who actually featured in our source video. You win Tina's Tiny Turner. If you haven't, Tina's Tiny Wonderland, which is supposed to be a great game. if you haven't, I know, I'm sorry. If you haven't got that game, it's a stupid name. But if you have already have that game, let me know. But congratulations on that. I just very quickly want to read the final. Wait, whoa, shit! There's loads of comments. Very quickly, I want to read out everyone's. Videopolis said, it's all about exclusivity, isn't it? PlayStation has long since traded on principle of the exclusive content being a cut above the rest. It's probably why this is such an easy line for Ryan to sell, and why thousands of PlayStation fans are rushing to support it. Yes, Why are you doing that? And almost in unison, I saw all the content. I say content creators, some of them so shit content creators. I'm sorry, but your quality is not there. But why are you rushing to defend them on Twitter? Don't parrot the line.
He's right, though. That's why Jim Ryan can say that, though.
Josh is saying that as a PlayStation guy.
Well, here's my thing, and I didn't mean to interrupt you guys, but
no, go for it.
I do want to kind of raise what might be a controversial point or statement. I don't think, in my opinion, and I there may be something I'm missing here, but when you look at God of War and Horizon Forbidden West recently, like in terms of production quality, I don't know that Xbox has anything that can match that, and I think Jim Ryan knows that, and I hope Xbox gets there, because if they do, then Jim Ryan's statements really are meaningless at that point.
Well, you've got Starfield, you've got Avowed, you've got bloody Elder Scrolls, you've got some big names there. They come out and they hit critically. Jim Ryan's argument goes to shit because Starfield would cost a lot of money. Elder Scrolls cost masses of money. Then you've got even like things like Redfall. You've got Perfect Dark. Well, I hope it turns out well. But there's so many big games there that could kill the argument. Great point. If that happens, it's going to happen very soon. Jim Ryan, why the hell you lying? But yeah, great point. Tim, Siki says, we believe in generations, starts productions of millions of PS4s, puts most first-party games on PS4, who plays old games, then you release the highest tier of games consists of old games, could suffer. Are we really going to believe what this Pinocchio says? That's a bit harsh, but okay. And Tim the Sorcerer says he's afraid, and in particular his overlords, that the bottom line could suffer. How could Game Pass suffer from day and day in a subscription service? They only get more engagement than before. Game Pass data has shown more people who are subscribed to Game Pass spend even more. Absolutely. And Gangster Red says absolutely bull answer. They basically want to squeeze as much money out of their user base as possible. They're already charging more for their own games. They refuse to offer a free upgrade for anyone going from PS4 to PS5. Their plans in the pipeline to be more aggressive with online games, put out more gas games, yet they're worried about the cycle of investment if they go day and date on a tiered sub-service. They have a bunch of different price tiers offered. Why not have a tier that provides day and date for their new games? So much source
I love the energy of that one, but I just have to point out, Gangster Red, all of them want to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. They exist to do that. So it's true, but I don't think that anybody else is being nice to you.
But they are being nice to us.
Well,
but
they're being nice.
There are varying degrees. There are varying degrees of value you can throw out while you're trying to squeeze your audience of as much money as possible.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes. And lastly, Silverlab says two options. People above Jim refuse completely this idea for a day one subscription service, or they are overconfident in their service. Sony feels more and more like Nintendo. And honestly, despite all the source and my me reveling in the theatrics for all this madness, it is pretty much a piss take. PlayStation Spartacus, if it is the final thing, Tony has hope that it may not be, then
that's it.
Perhaps,
just like little loop back. When Breath of the Wild goes on Nintendo subscription service, that's when I'll play it. I'm not waiting for sale. Subscription service.
Never. They will never do it. So Ace is never gonna play it.
Well, yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. The comments there were brilliant. Thank you. Well done for everyone. I wish we had more game codes to give away, otherwise we'd be broke. But we will be trying in more game codes. The idea is that just loads of game codes just swimming in the source for you. A lovely users. But the winner is it's Harry from Gamers Watch. Well done, Gangster Red. You won last week. This week was Harry. I've got a company that's sending me game codes for a really good game. I think it's only on PC. That's the only problem. I will get some codes. And for next week, if you just leave comments on the website, GameOnDaily.com is dank. It's so fast. It's pooling all the content for you. Your Twitter follows come through. It's curating news for you. You can block all the crap you don't want to see, or you can submit your own content. Write your own content. It takes 2 seconds. It's so easy. Or post your YouTube stuff. Thank you so much for those incredible comments, and congratulations, Harry, at Harry Gamers Watch. Well, I had a lot of fun with that, and I hope we have a lot more saucy takes next week. Gents, it has been an incredible show. We've gone past our 2-hour mark, notwithstanding our little delays, but we have. And before we go, I want both of you to have incredible channels that I want to just get a little bit of an idea of what you're looking to do in the future. What's in store for your fans? And also, what game have you been playing? Tony, aka Samurai KBG, you've been here from day dot, man. It's good to have you on again. I'll always be comfortable around you, man. What's in store for the peoples?
I love that you're still comfortable around me because I always challenge. I do my best to challenge.
That's not, bro. We love the challenges. Always bring the sauce.
Yeah. So currently I'm playing Tunic. It's an awesome game. Hope to get to Kirby next. Brace yourself for Tunic if you start that game, because it might be a simple adventure game, but if you choose to make it, it could be so much more, and it will fry your brain. But yeah, in terms of just plugging in, you can find me on Samurai KBG. Most recently, just did I spent like 20 hours doing this GMV music video for Kingdom Hearts' 20th anniversary. Kingdom Hearts fans, if you're out there celebrating 20 years. So that's a cool vid I'd love for you to check out. But otherwise, West Side Otaku, Attack on Titan's wrapping up this weekend. So, well, sort of. We'll see. It's a weird situation. But yeah, It's been good to be on the show. And I'm glad to see folks to have these conversations.
Absolutely. Last but certainly not least, before we go into quest mode, I have to read Hoggy Chatty's 2 ridiculous super chats that I didn't get to read. Hoggy, you're just too generous. Hoggy, thank you so much for the $10 because Xbox gave us free cloud saves with Xbox One nearly a decade ago. Sony and Nintendo put it behind a paywall. Not cool. So taking the worst case, it would cost Sony $100K a year for free cloud saves. And Hoggy knows what he's talking about because he is in the space and very technically proficient. Again, another super chat from Hoggy. He says, Nintendo has a niche that Sony doesn't even have. It is the default console for kids. PlayStation is not. If PlayStation doesn't compete with Xbox, it will be an issue for them. 100% agreed. Nintendo doesn't need to compete as much. 100% agreed. Nintendo stays in its own lane, and for good reason. No one can do what Nintendo does. At last, but certainly not least, it is Josh from Quest Mode Games. I'm telling you, there's so many bad PlayStation content creators out there, but there's one shining beacon. That's Josh, aka Quest Mode. I'm saying there are loads of good ones as well, but Josh is one of the good ones. Josh,
thank you.
Also the most level-headed ones.
But my channel, it doesn't focus exclusively on PlayStation. Actually, my last video was a Hellblade 2 preview, so if that interests you, go check it out. And coming up on my channel, I've got going back to PlayStation, got a Forspoken preview, but that one's going to take me a while. There's a ton of content out there that I'm trying to wrangle. And so, yeah, if any of those interest you, check out my channel. I'm focusing right now mostly on previews. So if you're kind of looking forward to some games, hopefully I'll cover them. And then, yeah, I talked about it earlier. I'm playing Elden Ring right now. I don't know when. I'm 60 hours in. I don't see myself. I don't even think I'm halfway through the game right now. So good Lord. But after that, the game I'm looking forward to playing is Weird West. It just came out. It's like an immersive sim from the old, from some ex-Dishonored and Prey developers. So it's gotten pretty good reviews. That's right up my alley. And I'll put my Xbox or my Xbot hat on, rather. $40 on PlayStation, free on Game Pass. So if you're looking forward to Weird West, you can just get it on Game Pass.
Yeah, absolutely. Another example. More money being saved. But I'm not marketing I'm marketing Game Pass like I'm Paris Lily. No, I'm not. It's a great point. And yeah, Josh is incredible, has incredible videos, also very detailed videos of his, if you check out his channel. But yeah, incredible.
I do take a while to post my videos to that point, guys. So if you do subscribe to my channel, don't expect content on the daily. But when I do post, I try to give you the information you're looking for.
Just like GameOnDaily, but we are working on more videos much more regularly, at least once a week. I keep saying it, but I'm actually working on 2 right now. There should be 2 videos going out at least, plus a source video. But Josh is like that. He takes his time, makes some dank memes. Samurai KBG literally featured in the Xbox's documentary. What lucky shit. That's how I knew Tony, because of his amazing reaction.
I have a meme that's over 1 million views now.
That is ridiculous. If you
And it's
probably
literally,
have seen
if you
the
guys
video.
want sauce, it's literally an Xbox versus PlayStation meme. And I'm like, holy shit, that thing passed 1 million views. God damn.
Congratulations on that. And it was hilarious. And it came into my feed. I didn't even realize it was your video. And I was watching it. And I was like, oh shit, that's Samurai Kimiji. And it's killed it. It's a hilarious video of the Avengers. That's all I'll say without spoilers. Everyone in chat, thank you so much. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the show on the way out. Asa, before we go, tell our lovely viewers what's in store for you, the VR man.
I was actually all right with that, with me being skipped. Yeah, I'm going to do some VR. I'm playing Skyrim at the moment again, with some mods, and it's peak gaming, like I said at the start. So come and watch me run around on the treadmill like an idiot, shooting stuff with my bow and arrow. That's fun. And I am also, videos for the GameOnDaily channel will be coming soon. I've got something a little bit different in the works that Gaz doesn't even know about yet. So
I don't.
Hopefully that will turn out well. But also, I need to shout out. So Gaz has been hosting as he always does with his energy and usual meticulous charisma. He's not feeling so good, and the world is spinning for him. He's got vertigo. So sympathy for Gaz. Only small quantity of it because he's a prick really. But well done, Gaz. And thanks everyone for coming along and supporting it.
Thank you so much. Take care. Oh, that's so nice of Asa. He's never nice to me. Thank you.
I called you a prick.
See you next week.